Hey, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Monday, the 5th of February. I am unapologetically recording this earlier last week from when you hear this because I am on retreat. When this is released, I will be getting on an airplane in Edmonton to head for Toronto to the Sisters of St. John the Divine to spend a week or 5 days in retreat and prayer in preparation for this life change that is about to happen. So for those of you who have been commenting on or wondering about my post-it notes, the post-it notes, they're all around my room, are every single thing I thought of that I need to do for work between when I put them up 2 weeks ago and when I move, so that I don't forget to do something. Make sure I prepare handover notes for my whoever will be my successor in Dayspring Ministries and all the things I need to do to get ready to go, including, writing a sermon for my first Sunday in Brandon, all those things. And on this side, if you look over there to my right, to your left, I think probably, there's a whole part of the wall that's empty, and that's because those are like, it's a whole week I've done. Occasionally post-it notes get moved because I don't get them done, but it's coming. It's coming. But chaos exceeding in existence here in my office. Now, the thing I really would like to talk about today, and things may have, God help me, I hope they have, but things may have changed since I recorded this on Thursday. I'm hoping that things will change between then and now. And if so, awesome. Thanks be to God. But yesterday, Wednesday, the 31st of January, it was announced that the government in Alberta, the provincial government, passed legislation that would essentially, I believe, make it mandatory that teachers or other people in schools who are aware that a child in less than 15 and under is asking to have their pronoun changed or go by a different name. In other words, someone who is in a period of gender curiosity or gender confusion, or no curiosity, no confusion. They just know what they need and what they for their own lives. And is determining that they would like to be known by a different name or a different pronoun, that it would be mandatory for staff in the school to inform the parents. And there's quite a bit of outcry about that because, particularly from the mental health standpoint, because for young people, quite often, especially, people don't want to acknowledge this, but young people right now, young people aren't worried about this. The teenagers are not freaking out about whether somebody wants to be called he or she or they or anything else. If they want their name to be changed, no big deal. And so the schools, for once, in some places, are actually the safe place for young people who are asking questions, for young people who are considering who they really are and who they're called to become. They can hang out in the cafeteria, on the schoolyard, they can talk to their people. But now this legislation would make the school an unsafe place. If a teacher or a staff member overheard them talking, or the child had the courage to go up to a trusted teacher and say, my name is Roberta, but I would like to be called Rob or Robbie. That teacher now, if they're under the age of 16, that teacher would now have to, would be mandated, they must tell the parents. And the reality is, quite often for young people, home isn't that safe place. School is where they can talk to their peers, they can bounce ideas off and ask other people what they think, and they can test things without the fear of the wrath of a parent or the estrangement from a parent. The generation that gave birth to them is a generation, I'm a little bit older than most of, I could technically have teenage kids right now. I would have been an older parent. But the generation that gave birth to the kids who are teenagers now, there's still quite a few of them who are in that in-between world of, I don't know what to think. And if you live in a conservative community, or if you're very involved with a conservative church or religion, interfaith, ecumenical, whatever, you may not have a safe place at home. And to have your teacher whom you trust, or the school place, the place where you feel the most comfortable and able to to really explore who you are. And what is high school but that? It's meant to be a place where you learn what are your skills and what are you interested in? What do you want to study in life? Who do you want to become? The who of you, the essence of who you are as a person is all wrapped up in that. And when we make school a place of mandatory reporting for something that is harming no one, we take away, for some children, for some teenagers, the only place where they feel safe. And later on today, on Thursday, when I'm recording this, there will be a press conference, and lots of questions, I imagine, will be asked of Premier Danielle Smith. And I'm really hoping that she begins to understand just the huge potential of harm that she has done. Regardless of whether you agree with me on the importance of honoring the dignity of an individual who is seeking some sense of who they are, whether you believe that people can be transgendered, whether you believe people should be able to acknowledge that they are gay or straight or any of these things, it doesn't really matter right now. What I believe doesn't matter. What matters is recognizing the dignity of every human being and allowing young people whom we encourage, or we used to encourage, to use critical thinking, to ask big questions, to dream about who they might become. And in way too many cases, push them too young to make that determination, telling them, what courses you take in grade 9 will impact what you can do post high school education, your college, your trades training, your university. Make those decisions when you're 13, 14, 15, because it can impact the rest of your life. And when they take us seriously and say, okay, yes, adults telling me I need to take this part of my life seriously and make decisions about who I am and who I will be 30, 40 years from now, when they do just that around the essence of who they are, and we tell them they don't have the right to do that, we tell them that we're going to tell their parents on them, where in some cases that may be the best thing that happens. But better in those cases where the parent would be okay with it and be open to having a conversation, wouldn't it be better if the child was the one who brought that up to the parent and not the school? But in many cases, there will be instances where that child will not feel safe. I recall a time when I was working for a program, of a youth program through the church, and a young person came to me on the very first day of the program, of a 2-week program, to say, before I came here, I came out. I told my parents that I'm gay. And I was told that I have no place to live when I go home. That young person's family was not a safe place. Can you imagine what would have happened had that young person had their teacher on a Thursday afternoon call the parents to say, your child is gay and this is what's happening? No thought to where that child might live, or how the relationship between the parent and child might be rebuilt and reconciliation happen. There is no thought in my mind that Danielle Smith has put into what are the ramifications for the mental and physical health, the well-being of the child in question. I think that I think it's outrageous, and I think it has nothing to do, in my mind, it really has nothing to do with whether God created Adam and Eve and all of that stuff that we can debate at a different time. For me, it is absolutely all about honoring and respecting the dignity of every human being. And teenagers, contrary to what some people think, are indeed human beings. And their thoughts, their identities, their fears, their concerns, their hopes, their dreams, their essence of who they are, demands, because of, at least for Christians, as Anglicans anyway, demands that we respect the dignity of who they are as a human being. Just because they may not be old enough to vote or make decisions legally by themselves doesn't mean that we have the right to disrespect them and to dishonor their dignity. This has to change. We have to treat our children the way we would want to be treated. And I know I wouldn't want some politician telling me that the way I choose to be addressed needs to be vetted by someone else, or I need to, that everybody in my life needs to be told, when I may simply be trying it out. Who knows? All I know is we need to look out for our young people right now, not when they're old enough to vote. And guess what will happen, by the way, when they're old enough to vote? If they are treated disrespectfully by the people who are in power today, are they really going to vote in 3 or 4 or 5 years for that party? It seems a little short-sighted to me what she's doing, what Danielle Smith is doing. But I don't mean this to be a political rant. What I need it to be is a call to all of us to stand up for and stand beside and support the young people in our world, that they may have the ability to determine for themselves who they are called to be. We need to respect the dignity of every human being. Just my thoughts. I will see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachel. Again, we'll be pre-recorded because I'm in Toronto. But have a great day. God bless you. And I will check in with you again when I get back on the weekend.